Space is trying to kill you, constantly. What if the universe isn't indifferent to us? What if it's hostile? We look up at the stars and dream. We imagine voyages, colonies, futures among the stars. But space doesn't care. It doesn't welcome us. It doesn't even tolerate us. Space is not a frontier. It's a war zone. Every second we survive out there is a miracle. The vacuum will boil your blood. The radiation will scramble your DNA. The silence will drive you mad. And the cold? It's not just freezing. It's absolute. A temperature so low, atoms barely move. We weren't built for this. Our bodies are fragile. Our minds are soft. Our machines are temporary. And yet, we go. We launch. We explore. We dare. But the truth is, space is trying to kill us. Constantly. Every breath taken aboard a spacecraft is defiance. Every heartbeat in orbit is rebellion. We are trespassers in a realm that never wanted us. Even our own planet, the only safe haven we've ever known, is surrounded by a thin veil of atmosphere. Beyond it, death. Cosmic rays, solar storms, black holes, micrometeoroids, time itself, all conspiring to erase us. And maybe, just maybe, that's not a coincidence. We've always looked up. We've always wondered. But what if the stars aren't calling us? What if they are warning us? This isn't just science. This is survival. This is horror. This is the story of how space is trying to kill you. And you're about to find out why. The vacuum of death. In the vast silence of space, there is no air to breathe, no pressure to hold your body together, no warmth to comfort your skin. The vacuum is not merely empty. It is a predator waiting patiently for the moment you slip. It doesn't roar or scream. It whispers in the absence of everything. Imagine stepping outside your spacecraft without a suit. Within seconds, the moisture on your tongue begins to boil, not because it's hot, but because the pressure is gone. Your blood, too, starts to bubble beneath your skin. Your lungs, desperate for air, collapse inward. You don't explode. You suffocate, you freeze, and you boil, all at once. This is not science fiction. It's physics. It's reality. And it's terrifying. The vacuum of space is a realm where the rules of Earth no longer apply. Here, pressure is a memory. Temperature is a concept. And survival is a defiance of nature. The human body, evolved over millions of years to thrive in a narrow band of atmospheric comfort, is utterly unprepared for the void. Astronauts train for this. They rehearse emergency protocols, wear suits engineered to withstand the abyss. But even then, the margin for error is razor thin. A single tear in a suit, a failed seal, a malfunctioning airlock, and the vacuum claims another victim. In 1965, Soviet cosmonaut Alexei Leonov became the first human to walk in space. His suit ballooned uncontrollably in the vacuum, nearly trapping him outside forever. He survived, barely. But the message was clear: space does not forgive. The vacuum is not passive. It is aggressive in its indifference. It pulls heat from your body with ruthless efficiency. It strips away atmosphere, sound, and sensation. It is the ultimate sensory deprivation chamber, one that kills. And yet, we go. We build ships to traverse it. We send probes to map it. We dream of living within it. But every time we do, we are reminded of its hostility. The vacuum is not a blank canvas. It is a battlefield. Consider the Challenger disaster. When the shuttle broke apart, the crew cabin remained intact for a brief time. The astronauts inside were exposed to depressurization. The horror of that moment, knowing the vacuum was closing in, is unimaginable. Or think of the Apollo 1 fire. The crew died not in space, but in a test chamber filled with pure oxygen. The irony? They were preparing to face the vacuum, and it was Earth that betrayed them first. The vacuum doesn't care where you come from. It doesn't care what you've built. It doesn't care how brave you are. It is the great equalizer. And it is always waiting. We romanticize space. We speak of stars and galaxies, of exploration and destiny. But we rarely speak of the silence. The cold. The pressureless void that surrounds it all. The vacuum is not just a scientific concept. It is a psychological terror. It represents the absence of everything we need to live. And yet, it is everywhere. Every spacecraft, every station, every suit is a fragile bubble of life surrounded by death. The vacuum presses in from all sides, relentless and patient. It doesn't rush. It waits. And when it finds a way in, it doesn't announce itself. It simply takes. This chapter is not meant to scare you. It is meant to awaken you. To remind you that space is not a playground. It is a crucible. And the vacuum is its first trial. So the next time you look up at the stars, remember, between you and them lies a vast, invisible killer. One that doesn't hate you. One that doesn't even know you exist. And that is what makes it so terrifying. Radiation, the invisible assassin. It doesn't roar. It doesn't flash. It doesn't announce its arrival. Radiation is the silent killer of space, an invisible force that slips past your defenses, rewrites your biology, and leaves you decaying from the inside out. In the vacuum of space, there is no atmosphere to shield you. No magnetic field to deflect the cosmic barrage. Out there, you are naked. And the universe is relentless. Cosmic rays, born from the death throes of stars, travel across galaxies at near light speed. They pierce spacecraft hulls like paper. They slice through human tissue like knives. Each particle carries the legacy of a supernova, a whisper of destruction from a star that died long before Earth was born. Solar flares erupt from our own sun, vomiting radiation into the solar system. These storms are not gentle. They are violent, unpredictable, and capable of frying electronics, blinding astronauts, and turning a routine spacewalk into a death sentence. The sun, our life giver, becomes a traitor in the void. Then there are gamma ray bursts, the most energetic events in the universe. If one were to strike Earth, it could strip away our atmosphere in seconds. These bursts are the death cries of collapsing stars, and they do not discriminate. They do not warn. They simply arrive and erase. Radiation doesn't just kill. It mutates. It corrupts. It infiltrates the very code of life, DNA. Cells begin to divide uncontrollably. Cancer blooms in the silence. Organs fail. Minds deteriorate. And the worst part? You don't feel it. Not at first. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station are bombarded with radiation levels hundreds of times higher than on Earth. They see flashes of light behind closed eyes, cosmic rays striking their retinas. They age faster. Their immune systems weaken. Their risk of cancer skyrockets. And they know every mission is a gamble. Shielding helps. But it's never enough. Lead is heavy. Water is bulky. Spacecraft are compromises, designed to survive, not protect. Every gram counts. And radiation doesn't care about engineering. Mars, our dream of colonization, is a radiation wasteland. Its thin atmosphere offers no protection. Its surface is bathed in ultraviolet death. Any future Martian must live underground, buried beneath regolith, hiding from the sky. Even the moon, so close, so romanticized, is a graveyard of radiation. Apollo astronauts spent mere days there. Any longer, and their bodies would have begun to unravel. Radiation is the great equalizer. It doesn't care about nationality, technology, or ambition. It is the price of admission to the cosmos. And it is steep. We build suits. We build shields. We build hope. But radiation waits. It watches. It infiltrates. And it reminds us, space is not a place for life. It is a place for death. And yet, we go. We send probes into the heart of solar storms. We dream of interstellar travel. We imagine ships that sail through gamma-ray seas. We defy the assassin. But the question remains, how long can we survive the invisible? Radiation is not just a scientific challenge. It is a philosophical one. It forces us to confront our fragility, our arrogance, our mortality. In the end, space does not kill with fury. It kills with silence, with particles, with time. And radiation is its favorite weapon. Gravity, the betrayal of our bodies. Gravity, the invisible force that cradles us from birth, that shapes our bones, that whispers to our blood where to flow. It is the silent architect of our biology, the unseen sculptor of our evolution. And yet, in the vast emptiness of space, gravity becomes a traitor. In microgravity, the body begins to unravel. Muscles atrophy, bones dissolve, fluids migrate. The very systems that keep us alive on Earth begin to malfunction. Astronauts returning from long-duration missions often struggle to walk, their legs trembling like newborns. Their hearts, having grown lazy in the absence of gravitational resistance, beat with unfamiliar weakness. Consider astronaut Scott Kelly, who spent nearly a year aboard the International Space Station. Upon his return, his body had aged faster than his twin brothers on Earth. His skin was inflamed, his vision blurred, his DNA altered. The price of defying gravity was written into his cells. In space, blood no longer pools in the feet. It rushes to the head, creating a constant pressure, a feeling of congestion, a distortion of senses. Astronauts describe it as a perpetual head cold, a swelling of the face, a fog in the mind. Sleep becomes elusive. Dreams become strange. Peggy Whitson, who spent over 665 days in space, spoke of the eerie transformation. "Your body forgets Earth," she said. "It forgets how to stand, how to balance, how to be human." Her bones lost density, her muscles thinned, her spine elongated. She grew taller, but weaker. The betrayal is not just physical. It is psychological. Gravity grounds us not only to the planet, but to reality. Without it, the brain struggles to orient itself. Up and down lose meaning. Time stretches. The body floats, but the mind drifts. In one chilling incident, astronaut Luca Parmitano nearly drowned in space. A leak in his helmet caused water to fill the interior, clinging to his face, entering his nose, threatening his breath. In microgravity, water behaves differently. It forms globes, it clings, it suffocates. Gravity would have pulled it down. In space, it tried to kill him. The betrayal deepens with prolonged exposure. Studies show that astronauts may suffer irreversible damage to their vision. The pressure behind the eyes increases, flattening the eyeball, distorting sight. Some never fully recover. And then there's the spine. Freed from gravity's compression, it stretches. Astronauts grow taller, up to 2 inches. But this elongation comes with pain, with stiffness, with the risk of herniated discs. The body rebels against its own transformation. Even the heart, the tireless engine of life, begins to falter. In space, it shrinks. It pumps less efficiently. It forgets how to fight against gravity. Upon return, astronauts may faint, their blood unable to reach the brain quickly enough. The betrayal is total. Gravity, once our ally, becomes our absence. And in that absence, we are unmade. Yet we persist. We train, we adapt, we endure. But the question remains, how long can we defy gravity before it erases us? In the silence of space, gravity whispers a warning: you do not belong here. And we, fragile creatures of Earth, must decide whether to listen or to fight. Space debris, the shrapnel of civilization. Imagine a battlefield where the enemy is invisible, silent, and traveling at 17,500 miles per hour. Now imagine that battlefield is above your head, in orbit. This is not science fiction. This is the reality of space debris. Space debris, or orbital debris, is the collective term for defunct satellites, spent rocket stages, fragments from disintegration, erosion, and collisions. These are not harmless specks. At orbital velocities, even a fleck of paint can punch a hole through metal. A bolt the size of a marble becomes a bullet. A shattered satellite becomes a minefield. In 2009, the unthinkable happened. A defunct Russian satellite, Cosmos 2251, collided with an active American communications satellite, Iridium 33. The result? Thousands of new fragments, each one a potential killer. The collision was a wake-up call, a reminder that space is not empty. It's cluttered, chaotic, and catastrophically dangerous. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station, ISS, live with this threat daily. In 2021, a Russian anti-satellite missile test created over 1,500 trackable pieces of debris. The ISS crew was forced to take emergency shelter in their return capsules, a chilling drill that has become all too familiar. One astronaut described the experience as waiting for a bullet you can't see. The Kessler syndrome, a theoretical scenario proposed by NASA scientist Donald J. Kessler, warns of a chain reaction. One collision creates debris, which causes more collisions, which creates more debris. Eventually, Earth's orbit could become so polluted that space travel becomes impossible. We would be trapped on our planet, prisoners of our own technological shrapnel. The emotional toll is profound. Imagine being an astronaut, floating in the void, knowing that a single untracked fragment could end your life in an instant. No warning. No defense. Just silence. The psychological weight of that knowledge is immense. It's not just the fear of death, it's the helplessness, the vulnerability, the realization that space is not a sanctuary. It's a shooting gallery. In 1983, a paint chip traveling at orbital speed struck the window of the Space Shuttle Challenger. It left a crater. Just a paint chip. The fragility of our machines, the thinness of our shields, it's terrifying. We are sending humans into a minefield with little more than aluminum and hope. The problem is growing. As private companies launch mega-constellations of satellites, the risk multiplies. More objects mean more chances for collisions. More collisions mean more debris. It's exponential. And we are not prepared. Efforts to clean up space are underway, nets, harpoons, lasers, but they are experimental, underfunded, and slow. Meanwhile, the debris continues to accumulate. Every launch, every explosion, every careless act adds to the swarm. This is not just a technical issue. It's a moral one. We are polluting the final frontier. We are turning the heavens into a junkyard. And the consequences could be irreversible. The story of space debris is a story of hubris. We believed we could conquer space. We believed we could leave our mark. And we have, in the form of trash, danger, and chaos. But there is still hope. Awareness is growing. International cooperation is increasing. New technologies are emerging. But time is running out. If we do not act, the sky will become a graveyard. Not just for satellites, but for dreams. For exploration. For the future. Space is trying to kill us. And sometimes, we are helping it. This is the shrapnel of civilization. And it's coming for us. Black holes, the cosmic predators. They lurk in the shadows of the cosmos, invisible yet omnipotent. Black holes, the cosmic predators, are not just astronomical phenomena. They are the embodiment of nature's most terrifying power, the ability to erase existence itself. Imagine a place where gravity is so intense that not even light can escape. A region of space where time distorts, matter collapses, and the laws of physics unravel. This is the domain of the black hole. And it is not a place we were ever meant to witness. The story begins with death, the death of a massive star. When such a star exhausts its nuclear fuel, it collapses under its own gravity, triggering a supernova explosion. What remains is a singularity, a point of infinite density surrounded by an event horizon, the boundary beyond which nothing returns. To approach a black hole is to flirt with annihilation. As you draw closer, tidal forces stretch your body into a thin filament, a process scientists call spaghettification. Your feet, closer to the singularity, accelerate faster than your head. You are torn apart atom by atom, your very structure unraveled by gravity's cruel grip. Astronauts have never encountered a black hole directly, and they never will. But the psychological horror of black holes has haunted spacefarers for decades. In interviews, astronauts like Chris Hadfield and Scott Kelly have spoken of the existential dread that comes from contemplating these cosmic monsters. You realize, Hadfield once said, that there are places in the universe where the rules break down. And you're powerless. Black holes are not just destroyers. They are time machines. According to Einstein's theory of general relativity, time slows down near a massive gravitational field. If you orbited a black hole for a few hours and returned to Earth, decades could have passed. This isn't science fiction, it's physics. The most famous black hole in our galaxy, Sagittarius A*, sits at the center of the Milky Way. It's 4 million times the mass of our Sun. And it's quiet, for now. But black holes can awaken. When they feed on nearby stars or gas clouds, they erupt in violent jets of radiation, outshining entire galaxies. In 2019, humanity glimpsed the unseeable. The Event Horizon Telescope captured the first image of a black hole's shadow in the galaxy M87. It was a blurry ring of fire, a silhouette of doom. Scientists wept. The public gasped. And the universe whispered, "You are not safe." There are theories, speculative, haunting, that black holes may be gateways. Wormholes. Portals to other dimensions. But these ideas remain unproven, tantalizing, and terrifying. What lies beyond the event horizon? We may never know. Because to cross it is to vanish. Stephen Hawking once proposed that black holes aren't eternal prisons. That information may escape through quantum fluctuations, Hawking radiation. But even this offers little comfort. The process is slow, imperceptible, and the end result is still oblivion. The psychological impact of black holes is profound. They challenge our sense of permanence, our belief in safety. They remind us that the universe is not built for us. It is vast, indifferent, and armed with mechanisms of erasure. In training simulations, astronauts are taught to respect the unknown, to fear the silence. Black holes represent the ultimate unknown, the final silence. And while we may never touch one, Their presence looms over every mission, every calculation, every dream of interstellar travel. Because out there, in the dark, something waits. And it does not care who you are. It only consumes. And it never forgets. The psychological abyss. Space is not just a physical void, it is a psychological abyss. Beyond the reach of Earth's comforting gravity and the hum of civilization lies a realm of silence, isolation, and existential dread. For astronauts, the journey into space is not merely a test of engineering, it is a confrontation with the deepest recesses of the human mind. The psychological toll of space travel begins with isolation. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station orbit Earth at 17,500 miles per hour, yet they are profoundly alone. The absence of natural sounds, the sterile environment, and the repetitive routines create a surreal detachment from reality. NASA's Behavioral Health and Performance Team has documented symptoms of depression, anxiety, and irritability among astronauts during long-duration missions. One of the most haunting accounts comes from astronaut Jerry Leininger, who spent 5 months aboard the Russian space station Mir. Leininger described the experience as living in a tin can, where the constant hum of machinery and the absence of fresh air created a sense of claustrophobic despair. He faced multiple system failures, a fire, and near collisions, all while battling the psychological strain of isolation. "You start to feel like you're not part of humanity anymore," he wrote. Sleep disturbances are another common affliction. The absence of a natural day-night cycle disrupts circadian rhythms, leading to insomnia and fatigue. Astronauts often rely on sleep aids, but the quality of rest remains poor. Studies have shown that sleep deprivation impairs cognitive function, decision-making, and emotional regulation, critical faculties in the unforgiving environment of space. Sensory deprivation adds another layer of psychological stress. The monotony of visual stimuli, white walls, blinking lights, and digital screens, can lead to a phenomenon known as sensory monotony. Without the richness of Earth's landscapes, the brain begins to crave stimulation. This can result in hallucinations, as reported by cosmonauts during extended missions. One cosmonaut described seeing phantom lights and hearing voices, symptoms eerily similar to those experienced in solitary confinement. The concept of Earth out of view syndrome further illustrates the psychological abyss. When astronauts lose sight of Earth, they report feelings of disconnection and existential anxiety. The planet, once a constant presence, becomes a distant memory. This phenomenon was observed during Apollo missions, where astronauts described a profound sense of vulnerability and insignificance while orbiting the Moon. Even communication delays contribute to the psychological strain. A message sent from Mars takes up to 22 minutes to reach Earth. In emergencies, astronauts must rely on their own judgment, knowing that help is not immediate. This autonomy, while empowering, also breeds anxiety. The knowledge that one is truly alone in the universe is a heavy burden. NASA and other space agencies have implemented countermeasures, virtual reality environments, psychological support, and structured routines, but the abyss remains. The Mars 500 experiment, a 520-day simulation of a Mars mission, revealed increased tension, mood swings, and social withdrawal among participants. Despite being on Earth, the psychological effects mirrored those of actual space missions. The psychological abyss is not limited to astronauts. It extends to humanity's collective psyche. The idea of venturing into a hostile cosmos triggers deep-seated fears of abandonment, insignificance, and the unknown. Space challenges our perception of safety, identity, and purpose. It forces us to confront the fragility of our existence. And yet, we persist. We build rockets, launch probes, and dream of colonies. Perhaps it is not defiance, but denial. A refusal to accept that the universe is not designed for us. Or perhaps it is hope, a belief that meaning can be found even in the void. In the end, the psychological abyss is both a warning and a mirror. It reveals the limits of human resilience and the depths of human courage. It is the silent companion of every astronaut, the unseen force that shapes every mission. And it is the reason why space, more than any frontier, demands not just technology, but humanity. Alien environments, hostile by design. They look beautiful from afar, planets bathed in crimson clouds, icy moons glistening in the darkness, worlds that shimmer with mystery. But up close, they are monsters. Alien environments are not just inhospitable, they are hostile by design. Every molecule, every gust of wind, every inch of terrain screams one truth: you do not belong here. Take Venus, for example. The morning star, the brightest object in our sky after the sun and moon. A symbol of love and beauty in mythology. But beneath its golden glow lies a hellscape. Surface temperatures reach 475 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt lead. The atmosphere is a choking soup of carbon dioxide, laced with sulfuric acid clouds. The pressure is 92 times that of Earth, equivalent to being 900 meters underwater. Soviet Venera probes were the first to touch down. Venera 13 lasted just 127 minutes before succumbing to the crushing heat and pressure. Its final images showed a barren, cracked surface, no life, no mercy. Mars, our red neighbor, offers a different kind of death. It tempts us with its proximity and tantalizing hints of water. But its atmosphere is a whisper, less than 1% of Earth's. Temperatures plunge to minus 125 degrees Celsius at night. Dust storms rage across the planet, sometimes engulfing it entirely. The Phoenix lander found water ice, yes, but also perchlorates, toxic chemicals that challenge any hope of agriculture. Astronauts who dream of walking on Mars must contend with radiation exposure, bone loss, and the psychological toll of isolation. The planet may be silent, but it is not kind. Jupiter's moon Europa is a siren song for astrobiologists. Beneath its icy crust lies a vast ocean, possibly warmed by tidal forces. Could life exist there? Maybe. But reaching it is a nightmare. The surface is bombarded by intense radiation from Jupiter's magnetosphere, 1,800 times the safe limit for humans. The ice is jagged, fractured, treacherous. The Galileo spacecraft gave us tantalizing data, but no answers. Europa remains a locked vault, daring us to break in. Titan, Saturn's largest moon, is a world of methane lakes and hydrocarbon rain. It has a thick atmosphere, yes, but it's nitrogen-rich and freezing. Temperatures hover around minus 179 degrees Celsius. The Huygens probe descended through orange haze, landing on a surface that looked eerily Earth-like. But the lakes are not water, they are liquid methane and ethane. To walk on Titan would require a suit that resists cryogenic cold and toxic air. It is a mirror of Earth twisted into alien form. Even our own moon is deceptive. It seems familiar, reachable. But it is a graveyard of silence. No atmosphere means no protection. Temperatures swing from 127 degrees Celsius in sunlight to minus 173 degrees Celsius in darkness. Micrometeorites strike without warning. The Apollo missions revealed a surface coated in regolith, fine dust that clings to everything, abrasive and potentially harmful to lungs. Astronaut Harrison Schmitt reported lunar hay fever after exposure. The moon is not a stepping stone. It is a test. These worlds do not invite us. They challenge us. They dare us to survive. And we respond with technology, with courage, with dreams. But every probe that lands, every rover that crawls, every astronaut that steps beyond Earth is a reminder, we are intruders. Alien environments are not passive. They are active threats. They mutate our biology, crush our machines, and erode our sanity. They are not waiting to be conquered. They are waiting to conquer us. And yet, we go. We plan missions to Mars, Europa, Titan. We design habitats, suits, shields. We imagine terraforming, reshaping entire planets to suit our needs. But is that ambition or arrogance? What does it say about humanity that we look at a world designed to kill us and say, we'll make it home? Perhaps the greatest mystery is not what lies beneath Europa's ice or within Titan's lakes. Perhaps the mystery is us. Our refusal to accept limits. Our obsession with survival. Our belief that even the most hostile environment can be tamed. Alien worlds are hostile by design. But maybe, so are we. The human delusion of control. We are creatures of conquest. From the moment our ancestors first gazed at the stars, we imagined them as destinations, places to reach, to claim, to tame. The cosmos became a canvas for our ambition, a frontier for our dreams. But beneath this noble pursuit lies a darker truth: our obsession with control, our refusal to accept vulnerability, and our delusion that space can be mastered. The human psyche is wired for dominance. We build empires, chart oceans, and scale mountains not merely for survival, but to prove we can. Space, however, is not a mountain to climb. It is a void that resists our presence at every turn. And yet, we persist. In 1961, Yuri Gagarin became the first human to orbit Earth. His flight lasted just 108 minutes, but it ignited a firestorm of belief that we could conquer the stars. Gagarin himself, upon returning, said, "I saw how beautiful our planet is. People, let us preserve and increase this beauty, not destroy it." His awe was genuine, but so was the illusion that we could extend our dominion beyond the sky. The Apollo missions followed, culminating in Neil Armstrong's famous words, "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." The moon was no longer a mystery, it was a trophy. Flags were planted. Footprints were etched into lunar dust. But the moon did not yield. It remained cold, lifeless, and indifferent. Astronauts who venture into space often return changed. They speak of the overview effect, a cognitive shift in awareness when viewing Earth from orbit. It's a moment of clarity, of humility. But it's also a confrontation with powerlessness. In the words of Apollo 14 astronaut Edgar Mitchell, you develop an instant global consciousness, an intense dissatisfaction with the state of the world and a compulsion to do something about it. Space doesn't just inspire, it unsettles. Despite this, we build. We launch probes to Mars, rovers to Europa, telescopes to the edge of the observable universe. We speak of colonization, of terraforming, of interstellar travel. But each mission is a gamble against nature's wrath. The Challenger disaster in 1986 and Columbia in 2003 were brutal reminders that space does not forgive. 7 lives lost in each tragedy, not to war or disease, but to the arrogance of human engineering. We design spacecraft with precision, simulate conditions with rigor, and train astronauts to endure extremes. But no simulation can replicate the chaos of a solar flare, the unpredictability of cosmic radiation, or the psychological toll of isolation. Space is not a lab. It is a crucible. The International Space Station, our most enduring outpost, orbits Earth like a fragile lifeboat. It is a marvel of cooperation and technology, yet it requires constant maintenance, shielding, and vigilance. A single malfunction, a leak, a fire, a collision, could spell catastrophe. And still, we call it progress. Why do we persist? Why do we chase a realm that rejects us? Because to retreat is to admit defeat. To accept that space is beyond our grasp is to confront our limitations. And humanity does not tolerate limits. We are driven by a paradox, the need to explore and the need to survive. Exploration demands risk. Survival demands caution. In space, these forces collide. The result is a dance with death, choreographed by ambition. Some argue that our destiny lies among the stars. That Earth is but a cradle, and we must grow beyond it. But what if that belief is a coping mechanism? A way to escape the guilt of planetary destruction? A way to justify the perilous pursuit of cosmic expansion? Astronaut Chris Hadfield once said, "Spaceflight isn't always about the glory. It's about the grind." He speaks from experience, of the hours spent in cramped modules, the constant threat of disaster, the psychological strain. Glory fades. Grind remains. And yet, we dream. We imagine cities on Mars, highways through the asteroid belt, and civilizations orbiting distant suns. We write stories, build simulations, and fund missions. Not because space welcomes us, but because we refuse to be unwelcome. This is the human delusion of control, the belief that we can bend the universe to our will. That technology can overcome entropy. That ambition can outlast mortality. But space is not a puzzle to solve. It is a mirror. It reflects our fears, our desires, our fragility. And in that reflection, we must find humility. Because only by acknowledging our limits can we begin to transcend them. The final frontier is a lie. We were told that space is the final frontier. That beyond the blue skies and the gravity that holds us, lies our destiny. A place to expand, to thrive, to escape the limitations of Earth. But what if that promise is a lie? Space is not a sanctuary. It is not a blank canvas for human ambition. It is a void, a cold, indifferent expanse that resists our presence at every turn. The romanticized vision of space as humanity's future is not just naive, it's dangerous. We build rockets and dream of Mars. We speak of colonies and terraforming. But beneath the surface of these dreams lies a truth we refuse to confront. Space does not want us. It is not built for life. It is built for silence. The vacuum, the radiation, the isolation, these are not obstacles to be overcome. They are warnings. Every attempt to conquer space is met with failure, fragility, and death. Challenger, Columbia, Soyuz 11. These are not just accidents. They are reminders. We are creatures of Earth. Our biology, our psychology, our very essence is tied to this planet. Remove us from it, and we unravel. Muscles waste. Bones dissolve. Minds fracture. The further we go, the less human we become. And yet, we persist. We tell ourselves that space is our salvation. That Earth is doomed, and the stars are our refuge. But this belief is not hope, it is denial. A refusal to face the consequences of our actions here. A desperate escape from the mess we've made. We look to the stars not because they offer answers, but because they are silent. They do not judge. They do not speak. And in that silence, we project our fantasies. We imagine utopias, second chances, new beginnings. But space offers none of these. It offers darkness, cold, isolation, and death. The final frontier is not a place. It is a test. A mirror held up to our species, asking, "Are you ready? Are you worthy?" And so far, the answer has been no. We are not explorers. We are intruders. We are not pioneers. We are escapees. And the universe, it watches. It waits. It does not welcome. It does not forgive. So before we launch another mission, before we build another habitat, we must ask ourselves, why? What are we running from? What are we chasing? And what will we become if we succeed? Because the final frontier is not out there. It is within us. And until we face that truth, space will remain what it has always been, a lie we tell ourselves to avoid looking in the mirror. Space is trying to kill you, constantly. We have journeyed through the vacuum, the radiation, the betrayal of gravity, and the shrapnel of our own civilization. We've stared into the abyss of black holes, wandered the psychological void, and confronted the alien hostility of worlds not meant for us. We've questioned our arrogance, our delusions, and our place in the cosmos. And now, we stand at the edge of understanding, the edge of survival, the edge of meaning. Space is not just trying to kill you. It's trying to erase you, to unmake you, to remind you that you are temporary, fragile, and profoundly out of place. Every breath we take in orbit is a rebellion against nature. Every step on alien soil is a defiance of cosmic law. We are not welcome here. We are not invited. We are intruders in a realm that predates us, outlasts us, and dwarfs us in every conceivable way. And yet, we persist. Why? Is it curiosity? Is it madness? Is it the human need to conquer, to understand, to transcend? Or is it denial? Denial of our mortality. Denial of our insignificance. Denial of the truth that the universe is not a story written for us. We build rockets. We send probes. We dream of Mars, of Europa, of exoplanets bathed in alien suns. But behind every mission, every launch, every celebration, is the quiet terror that we are chasing ghosts. That we are running from the truth. The truth that space is not our destiny. It is our reckoning. We are not explorers. We are survivors. And survival in space is not a triumph. It is a warning. A warning that the final frontier is not a promise. It is a test. And the universe is watching. So as you look up tonight, at the stars that shimmer with ancient light, ask yourself, are we meant to be out there? Or are we simply trespassing?